What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. We have Shadow Chaos 160, 1681 versus Nicholas Flame 1710. This must be game 2 because Nicholas Flame has already flipped over a Shadow Mirror after it got MST'd, and it looks like Infernity at the top versus Unknown deck at the bottom. This looks like a Geargia field, so we're just going to assume that it's Geargia. Okay, no, it's probably not Geargia. Anyways, Armageddon Knight gets run over after it was Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Chain should actually go to the graveyard. And you see Shadow just loads up his back row even more. And Nicholas Flame is playing... it could be an anti-meta trap. Okay, it actually is Geargia. I mean, wow. Okay, so he's going to attack for 3k. And he doesn't set anything else. He just passes turn. I'm a little concerned about that accelerator. He doesn't have anything in his graveyard that can actually that he can actually get back if it dies, but he would be able to trigger this if he, got like Darkhold or something like that. Honestly, considering your opponent has 5 back row and didn't do anything when you accelerated, I would not be surprised if he summoned another monster. Because in this situation, I would have no problem summoning another monster. Oh my goodness, so he flips over Geargia Gear in the battle phase. Is he going to win with a Geargia Gear? I've never seen that in my entire life. Okay, so he ends up using Wiretap on the Geargia Gear, obviously because it's going to save his bacon, and he doesn't want to lose. I've never in my entire life seen somebody actually lose to that card during the battle phase. And you almost wonder why nobody does it more. I mean, I guess maybe the situation hasn't come up. I guess Geargia players, maybe they're so used to using it during the end phase. But I've never actually seen somebody use Geargia Gear in the battle phase, get Georgiano and MK2 or, any, 2 of each one, attack for 2k and just win. It's like minimal downside. Like, even if he would have gotten Torrentialed or something like that, he would have been able to send... he would have been able to put one of those cards in his hand after Accelerator went to the graveyard. And then he would have been able to trigger Fire Hand as well. So Ice Hand would have actually been able to come out and attack too, because he would have still been in battle phase. So actually, yeah, there was like 0 downside for Nicholas Flame. I feel like I've seen him on this channel before. I feel like Nicholas Flame was in a duel at some point. He maybe played against somebody else. It's hard for me to keep up. Alright, so Shadow Chaos is going to open, and Infernity is just one of those ridiculously deadly decks when they go first, because they can do the Keto. The Keto. If they go off, which it looks like he has one of the help me go off monsters, the assistant monsters. I like to call them stuff like Greffer, Monk. These are the cards that help you go off. The deck can either get a bunch of breaks, it can get a barrier plus some breaks, and then by far I think the deadliest of the combos is the play where you have Master Key Beetle and then you have Vanity's Emptiness. Now you see he discards Soul Charge and he's immediately max seed by Nicholas Flame, and Nick's going to get at least a 1-for-1. Now here's the thing, the fact that he discarded Soul Charge, it really makes me believe that he has another Soul Charge in hand and that he didn't want to, have a Soul Charge and then have to set another Soul Charge. Either that or he plans on still special summoning. Alright, so you see he summons Greffer from his deck, and he dumps Necromancer and Street Patrol. He got Necromancer out of his hand, and he's going to exceed, probably into Lavalval Chain. He summons Lavalval Chain in defense. Okay. I kind of get that. I wouldn't be concerned about getting 101 of all things. Like, if I'm Nicholas Flames, 101 is not a card that I'm summoning against Infernity. At least I'm not going to use it, and I'm not going to use its effect. I'm going to try and just attack, because one of these cards you're going to set might be break. Anyways, Nicholas Flame has 6 cards in hand because he got a +1 from Max C, and then he draws 1. So he kind of needs to make something happen, because I believe he put Archfiend on top of his deck with Lavalval Chain, and considering he has Necromancer in there, you would have to imagine that he would go for Infernity Launcher. So I, for the most part, wouldn't be too concerned about the Lavalval Chain. I'd be more concerned about the back row. Now he activates, or excuse me, he just summons Fire Hand and he attacks into Lavalval Chain, which doesn't do a ton here. He's going to load up his back row. 1, 2, 3. I think he needs at least 4 cards. Yeah. Even if they're bluffs, I don't care. Okay, 5 cards. Maybe we're pushing it a little bit. I feel like against an Archfiend that you know your opponent had, you need at least 4 cards, 3 cards. So you activate Solemn Warning on the Archfiend. I know he has Soul Charge set. He has to have Soul Charge set. There is no way in hell you pitch a Soul Charge turn 1 unless you have another one. Okay, he telegraphed that play. If anybody out there wasn't reading it, I don't know what the fuck you were looking at, because you will never discard Soul Charge. It is the best card in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. It's better than Monster Reborn by a mile. In fact, sometimes I will side deck out a copy of Boojin Carnation. It's very rare that I side deck out Soul Charge. Alright, so he gets hit with Soul Charge, and down comes Archfiend, Necromancer, Monk, and Street Patrol. He's going for the full juggler. He goes 4 monsters. And damn, I was hoping maybe Needle Ceiling would come down. Or potentially Bottomless Trap Hole. Because if he went Bottomless Trap Hole and he took out these 2 guys, I mean, Shadow Chaos would be in kind of a bind. Alright, so that resolves. And he's going to activate Archfiend's effect. Now, maybe he's like saving it for when he has a card in hand. Maybe he's saving Needle Ceiling because he thinks that his opponent might potentially have Barrier, and the Archfiend would stop the barrier. So Nicholas Flame is thinking right now. And if he does have Needle Ceiling, that would be incredible. It is a super potent card right now. He goes Fiendish Chain on the Archfiend. And if nothing else, that at least slows down Shadow of Chaos. Because, I mean, yeah, he will exceed. And I would guess he's going in Diamond Direwolf. And then he's going to probably try and activate Necromancer. He goes into Lavalval Chain, and that's a huge blow because if that resolves, which it does, Lavalval Chain is face down. So now, I mean, he hasn't summoned yet, but now his Archfiend is stuck on field, and he gets Armageddonite, which we would imagine he's going to use to dump an Archfiend in there, and then exceed using probably Getty Knight and Monk and dump another Archfiend in there. Okay, so instead he dumps Archfiend Eris into the graveyard, which gets him an Archfiend to hand. This is one of the crazy things about Infernity. They just have so many ways of searching Archfiend and triggering Archfiend, and it's such a hard card to stop. It's like when the floodgates open, it's like a lot of times you just lose. Alright, so that got him his his launcher. And since he got launcher, he's probably looking for ways to get Archfiend on board. Off board, I mean. So he's going Diamond Direwolf right now. He goes 101, and he uses its effect on the Fire Hand, which wasn't special summon, so he just normal summoned it. I'm wondering why he went into, what's it called? And I think Shadow, he might win this game, but he just made a huge brain fart. He went into 101, and I think that he thought that Fire Hand was special summoned. The problem is, he needs ways to get his Archfiends in the graveyard, because he has this launcher just sitting on field, and he doesn't have any actual Archfiends in the graveyard, so I think he really just fucked up. Now, I honestly thought that he was going to go for Diamond Direwolf to try and pick apart the back rows. And the problem is, he can't attack. If he attacks Fire Hand, that Monk is going to die, or that Necromancer is going to die. I'd pop the Necromancer. So he just passes turn. And you wonder if Nicholas Flame has another monster, you have to go into, let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we minus 1 for the exceed. Okay, so yeah, he's going to attack 101. And he's going to activate its effect. Oh, I see what he's going to do. He's going to go Crash fucking Central. Yep. Okay, that was a very big mistake for Shadow Chaos, because he only has, unless he has some hands in his hand. That was a hands in his hand. Anyways, he's just going to keep crashing all of his monsters until essentially he can take them all out. I forget what Lavalval's defense is, but isn't it only like 1,000 or some shit like that? Because he attacked it like turn 1. So you see, he attacks with Ice Hand into 101. It's going to cost him some life points. I mean, let's be honest about that. But the fact is, he will get that launcher off board, and he'll get a bunch of monsters off board. Now he activates Fiendish Chain, and that's a serious blow to what Nicholas Flame was trying to do. I kind of wonder why he didn't just use that on the Fire Hand. Maybe Nicholas Flame has an MST set. Maybe he has a Lance. I don't think Geargia played Lance. But regardless, I think Nicholas Flame still needs to find a way to clear this board, or to get rid of, shit like, and Launcher. Definitely Launcher is the biggest problem right here, and it seems like he's thinking. I would have to say that if he can't ram, I mean, it's Geargia. The entire fucking deck is nothing but is nothing but level 4 monsters. All he needs is an accelerator, or another hand in hand, or he can have armor, and that will let him exceed up. So right now he's playing 5, 3, 2, 5. Okay, so he goes for Geargia Gear, still in the battle phase, and I believe he's going to probably get MK2, and he's probably going to go MK2 and Geargiano, which he does. Now we're going to wonder what he's going to do here. That goes to the graveyard, because, let's see, I believe he's always going to have more cards than his opponent because of that Fiendish Chain. He goes main phase 2, and he's in a tight spot. He really is in a tight spot, because he doesn't want his opponent to be able to activate Lavalval Chain, which is going to flip during his next turn, because that can get him, he can put another Archfiend on board, and then it's like, oh, fuck, we got to deal with that again. But then you definitely don't want motherfucking Launcher resolving. So he can blow it up with Diamond Direwolf, but, that'll leave him in a position where he still has to deal with Lavalval Chain on field, or the potential of his opponent top decking a spell, and then if he top decks a spell, he could end up pitching that to get an Archfiend from deck, and that wouldn't be good either. You look at Shadow's Field, and it's like he has a bunch of ways to potentially get out of whatever the fuck Nicholas Flame wants to do, unless Nicholas Flame can, if he can Exciton Knight him. If he Exciton Knights him, he wins. He just needs to figure out a way to get his cards lower than his opponents. Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3. We'll count these as 4, 5, 6. So yeah, he has one too many cards. He'd have to actually drop 2 cards. And I'm trying to think of the cards. All right, so he does go Diamond Direwolf. I actually agree with this, because if Launcher goes off, he loses the game. There's really no debate about that. And is he just going to pass, or is he going to continue to try and make a move? If he has a move now, I mean, he still has to be a little cautious of the potential of his opponent making Dweller and just running over Ice Hand, because you have to remember, if he summoned, I think he might have a Street Patrol in the graveyard. It won't even matter, because once he flips over the Lavalval Chain, he can just put Street Patrol in the graveyard, and he plays Dark Hole. Okay, that was a really good move. That makes a lot of sense. I am perfectly fine fighting against a 101 with 2 cards. It's much better than the situation you would have been in, where your opponent would have had, been able to just have the Lavalval Chain dump, and I mean, you don't want to just, you don't want any parts of that. So he goes for Geargia Armor, and he passes turn. Now your opponent's in a position where they kind of have to sack you out. He attacks with 101. That's going to get him an effect. I assume he's going to get, okay, he goes for Mortal Kombat 2. I thought he was going to go for Accelerator. And Nicholas Flame draws a card. Not quite sure what that could be. Obviously, it isn't anything like Soul Charge. Otherwise, he probably would have activated it. It could be potentially a break. I'm not sure if I'm reading a break. I mean, he just top decked the card and set it. We can't put him on potentially the best card in his entire deck just because he set it. He hasn't activated it yet, so it could be Black Horn of Heaven. He's going for rank 3. He goes into Zen mains. It's a Solemn Warning, so Black Horn, Solemn Warning, pretty much the same thing against what Nicholas Flame was trying to do. And Nicholas Flame just passes turn. He's going to eat a minimum of 2100. And then he activates Archfiend Labyrinth, which I guess he just did that because he wants to be able to potentially draw Necromancer or Archfiend and trigger it. He only did 2100. That didn't actually increase the amount of damage. But if you're Nicholas Flame, you'd have to hope. I mean, if he can get to a 101, he wins. All he has to do is 101 his 101 and attack for 2100, man. Come on. I'm sure that you have something here that you can do. Nicholas Flame doesn't seem to have any good monsters. He sets a card. Sets another face down Speller Trap. I think that this could be a hand. He activates Upstart Goblin, and Shadow ends up top decking Necromancer. Ooh, that was a nice counter. He activates Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. So it stays in attack mode, which is really unfortunate. Now, 101 is going to attack. I think that's a hand. I knew it. I fucking knew it. It's a hand. This might be game because not only does the Labyrinth get blown up, but then your Necromancer is going to be... It's just going to get wrecked next turn. At the minimum, you're looking at taking 1,600. So if Nicholas Flame shows him any other monster that is level 4, it's game because he can just crash, and then he can make Cowboy in main phase 2, or he can 101 his 101 and attack over Archfiend, and that's 21 as well. So Nicholas Flame only needs to draw a monster, and then he'll win. Worst case scenario, he can just crash for 1,600, and then 101 would just kill this in his next turn. So he's sitting pretty. All he needs is any monster, and he'll win the duel. So you see that Shadow is thinking about his move. He can't. There really isn't anything to think about. I mean, he can attack Fire Hand, but what would that do if all it would do is let him still have Fire Hand on board and 400 life points, and then Nicholas Flames would just go into he'd just go into Cowboy. You see him looking at his extra deck. It's really not that hard. You know, just make Cowboy or 101. Those are the only 2 cards. It all basically comes down to if Nicholas Flames can draw a monster, and he does draw a monster. He drew Accelerator, and instead of going into 101 or Cowboy, he decides to go into... I know what this guy's name is. I'm just not super familiar with the card. I know it lets you attack directly, but I think, don't you have to control a spell? It doesn't matter. He could have just ran over Necromancer, and that's game anyway. Thank you guys for watching, as always.